You're traveling to a different time. A world not only of sight and sound, but of mind. A journey into a wondrous world, whose boundaries are that of repetition. Your next stop, 1968. Many YouTubers out there might be familiar with the clip of journalist Amy Goodman being arrested last year at the Republican National Convention. I'd like to show you a clip of another journalist, this time Dan Rather. The place? Chicago, the Democratic National Convention in '68.
Your hands off of me. Unless you intend to arrest me, don't push me, please. I know you won't, but don't push me. Take your hands off of me unless you plan to arrest me. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Beginning in October, the Army plans to station an active unit inside the United States for the first time to serve as an on-call federal response in times of emergency. The 3rd Infantry Division's 1st Brigade Combat Team has spent 35 of the last 60 months in Iraq.
4,800 soldiers, plus their families, plus $500 million of construction to go along with that, plus all the related jobs that go along with that, plus the community jobs, cars, restaurants, real estate, and everything else. This is so huge for our local economy. It's very positive.
Absolutely. Do you see any kind of impact also, as well as the ability to increase the maintaining of the defense of our homeland by bringing these troops specifically here to Fort Carson?
And that's the other huge benefit. It's to our nation's defense that this will really help. We're getting 6 additional brigade combat teams nationwide. The very first of these 6 is coming here to Fort Carson, into our community.
100 cities, 20,000 Army regulars, and 34,000 National Guardsmen were mobilized. In Chicago, Mayor Richard Daley ordered police to shoot.
In fact, a number of battle-hardened U.S. soldiers were arrested and put on court-martial at Fort Hood, Texas, for refusing to go to Chicago that summer. But an even larger number, a full 150 soldiers, were thrown in the brig for refusing to go from Fort Carson, Colorado. Many of those soldiers were black, and there were racial tensions. Martin Luther King had been killed that year. But the racism continued, and so did the racial tension. The streets of America exploded with race riots in the summer of '68. Black people wanted equality, and many bigoted white people thought the blacks were just stealing their jobs. They wanted those people to go back where they came from. I'm showing you the wrong pictures, aren't I? Well, we still do have racism in this country after all. Those soldiers back then who were so willing to risk court-martial and even prison not to take up arms against their own country, were more upset about the war. You see, it was a useless war, Vietnam. Many Americans and even more civilians died for nothing. A war based on lies and propaganda. It seemed as if our young, brave men and women were stuck there forever. Our leaders made promises, but we still didn't get out. Quagmired in a useless war with death and our young people being maimed for nothing. Oh my, and I'm showing you the wrong pictures again, aren't I? Something else you should know. In the winter of '68, 500,000 people died in Hong Kong alone. from the Hong Kong flu. Interestingly, though, only 38,000 died in the U.S. I hope you've enjoyed our little exercise in time travel. 41 years, and we haven't learned any lessons at all. Oh, I was going to tell you, in 1968 I was in elementary school. I lived with my mom in a small town just outside of an army base, just outside the gates of Fort Carson.